Phillip Island has always been a stage for heroes or ghosts. This time, it was both. The ocean wind screamed louder than the Desmosedici exhausts because the red factory box stood quiet. No Marc Márquez, no spark, no shadow dancing on the edge of physics. Without him, Ducati looked like an army missing its general. They didn't lead, they followed. And the scoreboard was merciless enough to carve the truth in stone. No factory Ducati on the podium. Again, a Trackhouse Aprilia, Raúl Fernández, won his first ever MotoGP race. A rider once labeled as a fading talent just turned the whole paddock into witnesses. Behind him, Fabio Di Giannantonio pulled a GP25 from 10th to 2nd, and Marc Márquez dragged a year-old GP24 to 4th. Somewhere in between, Pecco Bagnaia crashed out from 12th, like a ghost tripping on his own shadow. The irony burned bright. Ducati brought the most advanced bike on the grid, and yet it looked the most confused. The GP25, supposedly their crown jewel, feels like a haunted machine now. One lap stable, next lap snapping. Its heart is too cold for emotion, too twitchy for instinct. Pecco doesn't trust it, and the machine doesn't trust him back. The cameras showed his fall, slow, desperate, inevitable. When the GP25 slid into the gravel, it wasn't just another crash, it was Ducati's myth disintegrating. No Márquez, no control. Just static on telemetry screens and a pit wall pretending to stay calm. Without number 93 inside the garage, Ducati didn't look dominant. They looked human, nervous, mortal, exposed. Question to the paddock, is Ducati a weapon in anyone's hands? Or just one man's reflection? Comment your verdict. Ducati without its general tie. For 10 months, Ducati lived inside a comfortable lie. Every weakness could be masked by Márquez's genius, every strategic error erased by his aggression. He was their insurance policy, their chaos manager, their statistical miracle. But at Phillip Island, the insurance expired. Márquez was watching from Madrid, his shoulder wrapped, his face unbothered. The paddock didn't know whether to pity Ducati or applaud fate for balancing the grid again. Because suddenly, the same engineers who bragged about data from both riders were staring at empty screens. Without Marc, the numbers stopped making sense. Pecco entered the weekend already cracked. He wasn't the calm metronome who once danced through pressure. He was searching for front grip, for rhythm, for identity. Every debrief ended with phrases like inconsistent feeling, too reactive, I can't predict it. The GP25 wasn't misbehaving. It was mocking him. And then there was Di Giannantonio, the silent killer from VR46. He started 10th on the grid with a GP25 setup nearly opposite to Pecco's. Same engine, same frame, but a completely different soul. While Pecco's front collapsed under load, Diggia found flow. His confidence came from adaptation, not arrogance. Behind them, Marc Márquez had a mission of his own. The Gresini camp still carries the ghost of Marc's 2024 rebellion, the year the satellite bike humiliated factories. Alex was determined to prove it wasn't a fluke. He qualified 5th, but his race rhythm told a different story. He was Ducati's most stable soldier in a war they no longer understood. And then came Bezzecchi. 2 long lap penalties hanging over him like a sentence. Yet when the lights went out, he launched like a bullet. Led into turn 1, built a gap, served 2 long laps, and still came back hunting. Meanwhile, Fabio Quartararo, the pole sitter, had one of those Yamaha days that start like dreams and end in therapy. His R1M had single-lap magic, but no lungs for a 27-lap war. Acosta shadowed him early, but even the rookie prodigy faded after lap 10. KTM's RC16 looked strong until the tire said, enough. It was shaping up to be the strangest grid in years. Aprilia on the front, Ducati split between brilliance and despair, KTM threatening but brittle, and Yamaha barely breathing. The question whispered in every paddock corridor. If Márquez was here, would Ducati still be lost? Or would he have rewritten the script again? Comment what you think. Phillip Island burns. Bezzecchi fired first. He knew penalties were coming, so he went for chaos. Lap 1, turn 1, hole shot. The man rode like his career was on trial. For 5 laps, he opened daylight, a 1-second cushion by lap 3, 1.6 by lap 5. Behind him, Fernández and Acosta played knife fights at the Miller hairpin. Lap 4, Raúl struck back. The Trackhouse Aprilia dove around Acosta at the hairpin. Clean, cold, precise. That move wasn't luck, it was intent. By lap 6, Bezzecchi served his first long lap, rejoining in third. Fernández now led. The crowd didn't even cheer at first, they were still processing the name on top of the timing tower. Lap 7, Bezzecchi served his second penalty, back to 6th. Most riders would have dropped their shoulders there. He didn't. He came back swinging. At the front, Quartararo's Yamaha held P3 briefly, like a kid holding an icicle before it melts. Marc Márquez blew past him on lap 8 with Ducati horsepower and self-belief. Lap 10, the order read Fernández, Acosta, Alex, Fabio, Diggia. By lap 12, Fabio was out of top 5, KTM began bleeding pace, and Diggia was slicing through like a surgeon. Mid-race, Fernández looked unbothered. Lap after lap, he clocked 128.4 like they were copy-pasted. No mistakes, no wobble. Behind him, Alex tried to hold P2, but Diggia was relentless. Lap 23, turn 8, the VR46 rider lunged inside, clean as a scalpel, no hesitation. GP25 versus GP24, modern tech versus legacy soul, and the new tech won that one. Then came the heartbreak. Pecco, fighting from P12, still looked lost. The front end folded at turn 4, almost slow motion, like fate mocking him. He didn't even fight the crash, he just accepted it, slid off, stood up, and looked at the bike like it betrayed him. In the final 5 laps, Bezzecchi rewrote physics. From P6 after penalties to P3 by lap 26. He overtook Alex with a dive that screamed desperation and genius at once. 2 long laps and still a podium. 2 seconds behind the leader. Unbelievable. Fernández crossed the line, arms wide, tears under the helmet. 76 starts, 0 podiums, until today. Trackhouse Aprilia's garage exploded. Ducati's didn't. Their screens flickered. Their eyes looked empty. Phillip Island had spoken. The hierarchy is over. Question to the faithful, did the grid just witness Ducati's empire crumble, or a rebirth waiting for its king to return? Drop your verdict. Pecco Bagnaia's season reads like a Greek tragedy rewritten in carbon fiber, from hunter to haunted. His problem isn't speed, it's faith. The GP25 doesn't speak his language. One lap it feels planted, the next it dives at random. The front-end feedback, once his weapon, now feels like static. Ducati wanted evolution, but what they built was a monster that only Márquez could truly master. And that truth is crushing Pecco's confidence. At Phillip Island, everything that could go wrong did. The weekend began with front chatter issues, then setup confusion, then a warm-up crash scare. By race time, he was already fractured mentally. When he fell from 12th, it wasn't a surprise, it was prophecy. He used to be Ducati's proof of method. Calm, technical, composed. Now, he's their emotional liability. The more he pushes, the less he understands. He's caught between data and instinct, between his own rhythm and the ghost of Marc's dominance. Inside the paddock, whispers have started. Has Ducati accidentally built a bike that fits one rider's DNA? Because what works for Márquez, aggressive entry, front-end bullying, chaotic late braking, breaks Pecco. The engineers can't fix psychology. They can tweak geometry, soften suspension, adjust load transfer, but they can't inject belief. And here's the dangerous thing. The longer Márquez is out, the worse Pecco looks. Every race without him exposes how dependent the system has become. Ducati's hierarchy once had structure. Now it's a collection of silos. VR46 tunes their GP25s differently. Gresini lives in their own rhythm. Only the factory garage seems confused, and confusion at the top trickles down as weakness across the grid. At Phillip Island, Bezzecchi served double penalties and still beat every factory Ducati. That's not a stat, that's a scream. It says more about adaptation than any wind tunnel figure. Question to the believers, is Pecco losing to rivals or losing to the bike he helped build? And when Márquez returns, will it save Ducati or humiliate them further? The empire without its wind didn't just shake Ducati, it rewrote the season's psychology. A Trackhouse Aprilia, previously dismissed as midfield furniture, just outclassed every factory bike on merit. No rain, no chaos, no luck, just pure control. That win also signaled a shift. MotoGP's hierarchy isn't mechanical anymore, it's emotional. Riders win on confidence first, machinery second. Ducati, stripped of Márquez's madness, is a laboratory of doubt. Every satellite team now outperforms the mothership. Diggia finished second on the same bike Pecco called unpredictable. Alex was fourth on last year's model. Bezzecchi was penalized and still made the podium. That's not coincidence, that's evidence. Meanwhile, Pecco's narrative is disintegrating. In 2024, he was the artist. In 2025, he's the equation that doesn't balance. His quotes sound like denial masked as patience. We'll understand soon. The data will help. The feeling is different. But the paddock hears only fear. The GP25, once designed to be the evolutionary masterpiece, now looks like a half-sentient beast. Too advanced for most, perfect only for Márquez. He's the missing link, the variable the others can't replicate. When he returns, the question isn't whether he'll win. It's whether Ducati will admit they built the bike around him. Phillip Island's podium told the future. Aprilia rising. Fernandez's first win lights a fire for Bezzecchi and Martin. VR46 resurging. Diggia's podium proves the GP25 isn't cursed, it just needs belief. Gresini relevant. Alex keeping both factory bikes behind him shows satellite power. KTM questioning. Acosta's raw pace isn't translating to victory yet. The nerves are real. Ducati broken. The machine without its madman is just a statistic waiting to fade. MotoGP isn't waiting for Ducati to recover. The sport is shifting under them. Fernandez's calm win felt like a torch passing. Márquez's absence felt like a prophecy, one that says, without the chaos, there's no creation. This season is slowly turning into a psychological massacre. Every race without Marc deepens Ducati's dependency problem. And when he returns, healed, rested, and watching all this carnage unfold, he'll either save them or burn the system that thought it could survive without him. Phillip Island wasn't a race. It was a mirror. It showed who's real, who's lost, and who's ready to rewrite the game. MotoGP's Australian Grand Prix wasn't about Fernandez's fairy tale. It was about Ducati's nightmare. A world champion crashing out from 12th, a satellite Aprilia winning, and a penalized Bezzecchi storming the podium. This is what happens when the balance of power fractures. Ducati's empire is wobbling. Not because they forgot how to build fast bikes, but because they forgot what made them dangerous. Chaos, aggression, fearlessness. The very DNA that Márquez brought, they now lack. Until he's back, Ducati's red will keep fading to gray. So the next time the lights go out, remember Phillip Island. Remember the silence inside the factory box. Remember that the loudest sound in racing isn't victory, it's the absence of it. From now, where does this put them? The time will tell. Comment your take. Subscribe for more savage breakdowns. The war just got personal.